went on emergency only 20 times in 60 days is simply not true. The only times we requested emergency only was August 9th through 11th. The second time was August 25th through 28th, when we had to shut down a dog holding room to treat 4 parvo-positive dogs. And that compromised our available kennel space. During this time period, however, both city and county animal control put themselves on emergency only because of staffing shortages, including this past weekend. At no point in July did Young Williams go on emergency only, and despite being at capacity the last 2 weeks, we have not gone on emergency status, as it is always a last resort. After we've exhausted every option. Euthanizing for space, however, will never be one of them. In response to taking in beagles from the massive rescue operation in Virginia, despite such a busy time of year for every shelter, we strongly feel as an animal center with more resources and manpower than other rural shelters, and a pet-loving community network who has proven time and time again to step up, that it is our responsibility to lean in for the greater good and work with our colleagues and national welfare organizations to be solution-driven in moving animals out of disastrous situations. This is no different than assisting devastated agencies in Louisiana, Texas, and South Carolina during Hurricanes Irma and Harvey, when we took in 59 animals through our foster program, or became the hub for refrigerated vaccines to be transported to shelters in need. I have no doubt that you as public servants would not hesitate to do the same and step up to help your neighbors or a community in crisis that has been decimated by a natural disaster, or in the case of these 4,000 beagles who were subjects of extreme cruelty and neglect. As a side note, funding is often received from national animal welfare foundations to offset the cost of animals we help in these situations, as was the case with these beagles. Finally, over the last 2 years, only 2% of animals came to us from out of county or state. Many of those, however, were pets adopted from people in other counties and returned to us, or animals who arrive at UT Vet Hospital from another county without a known owner and are ultimately transferred into our care. I provide a comprehensive overview of the full scope of services Young Williams provides to the pets and pet owners of our community. We are doing really great work, as I am confident you will find, and I want you to have the confidence moving forward that we are not only fulfilling a vital need in our community, but that we are doing so with excellence, loyalty, and the desire to continue being an exemplary organization across this region, this state, and this country. As evidenced with nearly $6 million of grant funding over the last handful of years, national animal welfare organizations and foundations have chosen to invest in our growth and our future because in a relatively short period of time, we have established a life-saving track record and proven our alignment to not just industry gold standards, but to our own mission of finding a home for every pet. While we've been fortunate to celebrate a lot of successes, there is no question we carry a great deal of responsibility coupled with a lot of moving parts and growing pains as we continue to build and refine our programs. We are in a constant state of improvement, paying attention to industry trends and pivoting within the operation to become more effective and efficient. And as with any business operation and life in general, there are missteps and lessons learned every day. But our strategy when we've hit a challenge is to fail forward, reevaluate, and redirect as needed while staying on a positive trajectory. I invite all of you to take the time to come and take a tour of our main facility or all of our facilities, learn more about who we are, the work that our magnificent, selfless, and dedicated team does 7 days a week, 365 days a year, to create hope for pet owners at risk of losing their beloved companions and second chances for the thousands of homeless, stray, abandoned, injured, and neglected pets within our community. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Testerman. Commissioner Lee. I appreciate and applaud you for your work for animal welfare. I would ask to defer this 30 days. The question I asked last week was about the salaries of admin and your employees, and I would like you to provide that to us, please.
I did provide a personnel budget.
I did not get, the budget is not itemized.
I
don't see that in the documents I've been.
I have 100 employees. Help me understand.
How many do you have in admin?
I mean, define admin. I mean, I've got multiple departments. I have a development department, a marketing department, a finance department. I've got coordinators. I mean, I have a dozen plus departments.
Those are the questions that I'm asking because it's $1 million, and I would just like to see the salaries of admin, management, itemized.
The personnel budget alone is $3.2 million, which doesn't include, you've got benefits, total personnel costs are $4.1 million.
I'm still asking Madam Chair to defer this 30 days.
Is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
Commissioner Lee has a motion on the floor to defer this for 30 days. Is there a second? Actually, that would need to be a substitute motion.
Okay, substitute motion.
Substitute motion to defer this item for 30 days. Is there a second? That motion fails due to lack of second. So we're back to the original motion to approve. We are still in discussion. Commissioner Lee, would you like to continue? Your light is still on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for hanging in with us all through zonings. That was great. Sorry we didn't get to you earlier. And I appreciate you sending the information to us this afternoon. I guess my concerns are, and this is not your fault, but this contract started on July 1. We should have had this contract back in the early spring for approval. And while I don't think it's a perfect contract, we're already, one quarter of the way in it, basically. And what I think our best course of action at this point is to probably have members of your team, members of City of Knoxville Animal Control, Knox County's Animal Control sit down prior to us doing the renewal contract next summer. Because I think there's just still some confusion. I did get a copy of the MOU that you have with Zoo Knoxville. But again, I think we're down the road here. You guys have to know, what funding you're going to get. I just think we need to start a little bit earlier before we are approving contracts like this, particularly when it's in excess of $1 million.
I'd like to have Mr. Caldwell respond to that. We did have meetings earlier in the spring, so.
Mr. Caldwell?
Thank you. Yeah, I think, we did have some meetings with the City of Knoxville. David Brace and myself, I think we were under the impression that the contract went another year, and our good friend Charlie Starkey in the law department let us know that the contract had expired, and so he worked with city law, and that's why this is delayed in getting here. And so what I would say is I'm happy to bring any metrics that you all may want to see back to David as we sit down with Janet to go over our relationship in the future, and we're happy to look at those things. I know that Janet she doesn't have issues with metrics, and so anything that you'd like to see in a future contract is good.
Well, and I don't think members of this body have any issues with young Williams. We realize what they have to deal with on a daily basis. But at the same time, we still have to look out for the interests of Knox County, particularly where we can take our animals that animal control is picking up on a daily basis. So I think just, again, it needs to go back to with sitting down with the city and the county and with your staff to figure out going forward after this contract ends on June 30th.
Thank you, Commissioner Schoonmaker. Commissioner Jay, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Tesserman, I did want to say thank you for supplying the information. We had a long conversation last week. You were forthright in all of the information that I asked for, and then some. I just want to acknowledge this is a tough business. I get it. We all get it. This all stemmed from essentially the city and the county doing it themselves, trying to find a third-party system to kind of joining forces in a metro way, using a county building and trying to kind of partner. And now it's certainly grown beyond the original focus of just city and county intake, and it's grown into a much bigger animal welfare center with great value. It's no doubt that Knox County and the city of Knoxville needs your services. I would echo that with Commissioner Schoonmaker that I think we could do. I think we could get more specific on the contract and some of the reporting, at least that I am interested in, and do that for next year. I'm going to, certainly vote to approve it this time. We need the help from your organization, and we want to see you thrive. I just want to see us sort of think through all the parts and pieces in a little bit more defined way. And I would just encourage anybody that's doing more research like I am to maybe sit down and say, are these some metrics that can be obtained? Let's talk to our sheriff's office. Let's talk to Ms. Sesterman, and then kind of work with finance to do that between now and maybe February, so that when we go around to spring contracts, it's something we're much more comfortable with. It has much more reporting or the analytics that will help us better understand the whole process. So thank you for supplying the information.
Is there any more discussion for this item? Seeing none, the motion is to approve. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
No.
That item passes.